There were so many good games that came out in 2019 that I didn't get a chance to cover, so throughout December I want to release a few videos talking about some games I missed and give some earlier impressions. These won't be reviews or my usual first impressions, just some quick thoughts on some games. With that being said, let's talk about Atelier Ryza and The Secret Hideout. This game was a big surprise to me. I got several recommendations for it, and I like what I've played so far, but I've only played about 5 or 6 hours, so bear that in mind. It's a fun game. You play as a young girl named Ryza on a remote island. The game has an active time battle system similar to Final Fantasy VII. You've essentially got two components of the game, gathering and battling, which have some overlap. The game is based around alchemy and creating materials, items, and tools for combat and quests. While it is an RPG technically, it's very light. When you level up, you just have very generic stat boosts like increased health and damage. You don't have talent trees or anything like that. Think of Monster Hunter and how, in that game, you're constantly gathering materials to improve your character. It's more akin to MMORPG elements, with grinding and gathering. The combat is really fun and fast. It's so fast that you can't really keep up with it. Switching between party members, you can do that on the fly, which is really fun. You can choose their abilities and do follow-up attacks and combos, but it is happening so fast that it does take a second to get used to, and early on, you can't really try out cool combos because, well, battles end so quickly that you can't even do any cool setups yet. But it does eventually happen, and once you understand how to do the follow-up moves, the combat is actually very, very fun. The game does have a story, but it's a bit of a slow boil. There's a lot more charm to the characters, but the game is really slow on story getting started. I'm about 5 hours in once again, and I haven't really found an antagonist. Not that I'm complaining too much, the characters and the adventure themes are good enough to rope you in. From what I've read, this is one of the better Atelier games to get into. It's got an okay PC port, which is surprising considering this is a Koei published game. There are some issues, but if you're okay with playing with a gamepad, you're gonna be fine. It's not riddled with bugs, or locked at 30 FPS like some other Koei games are, but it could be better as the game does cost $60 and it does feel a bit cheap at points. Obviously, corners were cut. It's got one language option for voice, that being Japanese, and it's not even fully voiced. Areas also feel a bit small right now. Hopefully it will get better as the game progresses. Crafting is the highlight. Normally, I'm not into something like this. Lots of crafting in games can sometimes be a turnoff because of how poorly you're introduced to it, and how sometimes it feels very ham-fisted or grindy. But in this game, the crafting is the core mechanic, and it's done right. The tutorials are explained very well, and logged to reference later. The tutorial is not super handholdy, and you can get into the game fairly quickly without being bombarded by restrictive tutorials and levels. Atelier Ryza really surprised me. I didn't think I'd play it as long as I did. I haven't touched it in a few weeks, but I definitely want to get back into it again after I finish some other games. I just couldn't get a regular video on it because I don't think the time I spent with it is enough to judge it. I mean, it's a very lengthy RPG. But what I've played is great. The setting has this wholesome adventure vibe to it, battling is fun, and gathering isn't super grindy. It's also got some great art direction, and the music is absolutely fantastic. Definitely give it a shot if it ever goes on sale. It's a really interesting, fun little game. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. I will have more videos like this throughout the month, hopefully, and that will lead up to the top 5 best and worst games of the year. I still need to play a lot more to really finalize the list, but I pretty much have the top 5 for the worst nailed down, and I just need maybe one more for my best. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out.